were also very actively involved, although they weren't contributing content, but they were helping us build the pages for the incubator. So moving along, the incubator started, and I can share a link to this if I can find it. Another person from the US, I think, were also very actively involved, although they weren't contributing content, but they were helping us build the pages for the incubator. So moving along, the incubator started. If one is not, I can share a link to this if I can find it. Another person from the US were also very actively involved, although they weren't contributing content, but they were helping us build. So I'm going to log off again and then join because I'm hearing myself. Moving along, the incubator started. If one is not, I can share a link to this.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. So hello.
Yeah,
He said.
I think it was from me. I was streaming live on YouTube, so I just closed the page.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I think it was
He'll be rejoining.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so that is back. Hello, Sadat. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. So I just rejoined.
Yeah, so sorry, it was actually from my end. As I was live doing the streaming on YouTube, I think I was getting some feedback, so I closed it. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I was, what was I? I was talking about the incubator, and I shared a link to the incubator, which the note taker would add to the notes so that you can look at it later on. So yeah, the incubator was created with the help of 3 people, and then two native editors, and then 3 people who were helping build the pages who were not Dagbani. So in 2015, I had 2 more people come on board, Abdulatif, who is Lisa Kumaya, and then Abdul Rashid, who is Lisa Dinani1. So they helped me creating other articles, like botanical articles, which was very important to them. I can still hear an echo, so please, if you can mute yourself if you are not speaking. Yeah, so in 2016, the project began to slow down. We had quite a number of articles, and this is still in the incubator, okay? And we had like 20, 25, 30 articles. But then by 2016, the project began to slow down, and Sadiq came on board around that time, and we got in touch with the University of Education, who were very, very helpful to us, the Dagbani language department, Mr. Hudu and the rest of his team. No, Mr. Hussein, sorry. And people did want to help, but the problem had to do with coordination, as in, because this is a volunteer project, I mean, it's obvious people don't have too much time on their hand. So coordination was, one of the reasons that the project slowed down a little bit. Then there was also obviously the lack of time that people didn't have, and also lack of resources because people would need internet, people would need routers to be able to contribute to a volunteer-led project. So, by 2017, it was almost dead, I should say. 2018 came and passed, 2019 came and passed, and then early 2020, nothing really happened in the incubator with regards to Dagbani. So a few months ago, there was but then all this while I kept contact with people like Latif and the professors at the University of Education. And we were constantly, thinking about what to do next. So in 2020, Sadiq and I decided to kickstart the whole project again. And, starting by ramping up some interest and then bringing people together on a single platform so that we can collaborate more easily. And even at that time, Dagbani still wasn't supported on certain aspects of the Wikimedia project, like on Wikidata. So I took that upon myself, and I followed up on that. So currently, Dagbani is not only supported in the incubator; it's also supported on Wikidata as well. You can add labels, you can add descriptions in Dagbani language to Wikidata currently as we speak. And I have been able to add at least 50,000 labels to Wikidata so far. And we're thinking of how to do that in a much more organized way so that people can follow what we are doing. So that is why we started this WhatsApp group, and then we brought some people on board to deliberate, to think about what to do next, to come up with ideas, to see how we can bring this project back to life and out of the incubator to become a full Wikipedia project, and then support it in other ways around the Wikimedia Foundation project as well. So yeah, that is how this group came about in the last few weeks. And right now we are looking at what to do next and how to form some little structure around this group so that there can be a much more coordinated way of writing these articles and actually helping bring our language to the forefront of the internet. As many of you are aware, Wikipedia is a very important text corpus, so machine learning projects like Google Translate and Google Search would need some amount of content, translated content to be able to support the language so that people can actually search for content online using Dagbani purely. People are going to be able to build tools on top of the language so that like interfaces can appear in Dagbani for people who want to read Dagbani specifically. And then generally, and most importantly to me, as as a means of preserving the language so that people in the future would have a reference to look at. Oh, so this is what people who spoke Dagbani 200 years ago, this is how they said this word or that word, and this is how they actually thought about terms in in the context of the language. So this is the grand vision of what Sadiq and I had, and then we wanted to ask you all to help us come on board and help us to make this dream a reality for us all. Yeah, so basically where we are right now is that we have Dagbani Language Incubator. We have a few articles in it, but it's not enough to use it to apply to become a full language on the Wikipedia. And then also we are thinking of setting up this small organization so that we will need like volunteers amongst yourself who can help us add some structure to the process. I mentioned two things. There was a third thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, and then also we also need to have technical translations of certain words that would allow, the machine learning projects that Google uses for translates and then for search to be able to handle the Dagbani language. So these are the three key things that we have in mind at the moment. But then we are obviously open to, other ideas that people might have and how they think that, we can do this together. So I would just pause a little bit and see if there are any comments or anyone wants to say something else before I move on.
Okay, thank you so much, Sadat. At this point, if you have any question as we go along, just feel free to share it and then we'll address it. And it's also important for us to know that we are the first group to actually come like this and, take this discussion, even though we've had several meetings and we've tried our best to get a much bigger community. So we should all consider ourselves as like pioneers together with those who started it to date. And we hope that we would have the opportunity to support and make something that our future or generations will be proud of. So it is very important for us to understand that the whole Wikimedia projects are voluntary based and is out of passion and out of love for whatever topic or language that you are contributing to that makes people come together to contribute to Wikipedia. I also want to believe that most of us here know much about Wikipedia, as Sadas mentioned. Yeah, so I've shared the link to the Etherpad. Kindly feel free to sign in your name. If you don't have a username, you can just put in your name. And at the end of the day, but I think by the close of the day, we should be able to create accounts for all of us. And I think I'm very excited about this meeting because we are very hopeful about the future. And we believe that this meeting will be very successful and more of this will continue as we try to bring the Dagbani Wikipedia out of incubation. So if you have any question or suggestion, anything that you want to share with us, feel free. And as I mentioned to the event is this meeting is streaming live on YouTube. So if you don't want to appear, if you don't want your face to appear, kindly turn off your video. Thank you.
Yeah, I should also mention that I forgot to mention a third, point of interest. So aside from writing content in Dagbani, we are also extremely excited about, Dagbani related content on the larger language Wikipedias, like on English Wikipedia. Because, obviously people read English language Wikipedia more often than they would likely be reading any of the local languages. So, and I would, use this opportunity to say a big thank you to Mohammed Hadi, who has done incredible amount of work in that area already. I see his edits on one of the pages that he has written that is really, I found really, interesting was, is it a Dagbani naming conventions? I'm not sure, Hadi.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. So it was about the naming conventions. I mean, the origins of our local names, where they originate, and then the meanings of some of the local names. So that was what the edit was about. The writing was about. It was just to so that when you come down north and then you hear someone called Azindo, you probably know, okay, Azindo. When you want to find out what Azindo means, or you hear someone called Juna, so you go online and then search. If you are able to find that name and then the meaning of it. So that was the motive behind the writing. So it's just our names, the local names that we have, and then of course I couldn't capture everything, but um, um, the little work was I mean it's okay for me, and then I hope to contribute much to it and other works too. So basically, that's it. It's about naming conventions of the Goma people. So us, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, thanks so
yeah.
much. The Wikipedia is a work in progress. It never has an
Yeah.
end. So people are going to keep improving it. I had an idea to write about this some time ago when one of my relatives, had a baby and they were looking for a Dagbani name. I mean, it's unfortunate that these days, well, rather fortunate that these days people like young people like us tend to want to have our kids to have like full Dagbani names rather than previously. Our parents felt we Arabic names felt better, but I'm really glad when I see like young people naming their kids in Dagbani, which is really so. They were looking for a Dagbani name, and I was called to help for whatever reason. They thought I wouldn't, I would know some names, and I didn't have any resources, so to actually give to them. And I had plans of creating something like that some time ago. So and when I saw your edits, I was really excited.
Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, does anyone have any comments before I say a few more things? We have like 21 minutes, 20 minutes more to go.
Hello. Hello. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. But if you could speak up a little bit, your voice is a bit faint, Jamila.
Oh, I'm actually shouting here. I'm barely shouting out here.
That's manageable. I can hear you. So I could probably boost whatever you say. So feel free to say it.
Okay, I want to thank you and the crew that started the Dagbani Wikipedia. And I've always looked forward to getting a platform or something like that that would speak my language, or should I say that would portray my language. And I want to say thank you and congratulations to you and the crew that started it. And also, I think we could, I mean, I just have a suggestion as to how we can get it out of the incubation stage into the, out of there, probably. So, what I have is that, but I have one concern even before my suggestion. With Wikipedia, when we write, we reference them, right? We get legitimate, I mean, very conk sources we have to reference. And I have an issue with referencing in Dagbani in the Wikipedia because we don't get people writing in Dagbani, so we cannot actually get references in Dagbani into the Wikipedia of the Dagbani version. So I'm thinking, are we going to be referencing in English, or should I say, we get English articles and then convert them into Dagbani, or we are writing something from the scratch in Dagbani, and how do we get to reference all those things we write?
Yeah.
That is what then I have. And as to how to get it out of the incubation state is it's just like what we do on Wikipedia. We give a challenge out in Dagbani, and then we get people to bring out what they can write about the challenge or whatever they can do within the challenge. And that can speed up more articles and more works onto the Wikipedia, the Dagbani version. So that is also a suggestion I think we can take. We can use to get it out of the incubation state because probably I think we need a number of articles to be able to get it out of the incubation state, right? Yes. So if we could do that, probably we can pick history, anything history about the Dagbani or wherever part of the country. But in Dagbani, we can write that in Dagbani and give it out as a context like we do with the Wikipedia, the English version. So we can get it out of the incubation state. And with the referencing, I'm very particular about that because you can't post, or should I say release something without references onto Wikipedia. And that is very key. Sometimes when you're even writing and you have a reference that is not even of a legitimate source, you can hardly post it or you can hardly post it there. Yes, so I want to know how we'll be doing the referencing with the Dagbani version because we don't have Dagbani articles online to reference them. Yeah, so that's what I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jamila, for your submission. It was really exciting. I initially thought you were another Jamila Abdullahi that I
Yes.
know. Uh, but so yeah, there are so many Jamila Abdullahi, so that is great.
Okay, I'm Jamila Abdullah anyways.
Okay.
Sorry to come in. Jamila, are you part of the executives of the UDS
Yes,
campus? Oh,
yes.
okay.
All right, Jamila. So let me start with the referencing. Yeah, so this was one of, I think this is the most, this is a very important question that you just asked. This was one of the big hurdles we had to cross when we, started writing in the incubator. And with, so with the articles in the incubator, majority of them were translations from English into Dagbani. So we simply used the English language references that were available and brought them into Dagbani. So what happens on Wikipedia is that you can write an article in Dagbani. So, well, we don't have a full Dagbani Wikipedia yet, but let's say you can write an article in Italian, and then if you have references in Chinese, you can use those Chinese references. You can write an article in Hebrew, and if you have references in Arabic, you can use Arabic references for it. So with referencing, it is fine if we don't have Dagbani language, like Dagbani language sources to use if you are going to write in Dagbani. But then, if we are going to write about history, we are not going to have many references as much as we would like to have because some of them are very oral histories. So with that, it would be a little bit of a challenge. But what I would suggest is that, and anyone can bring up more suggestions, is that the rate of entry for articles in Dagbani wouldn't be as high as English language Wikipedia currently is. So we might have a leeway to, to work around some of these things. But ultimately, we should be aiming to have strong references for even Dagbani language articles that we write. And I also think that the absence of references in Dagbani language would be a motivator for people to actually write in Dagbani like have Dagbani language sources so that we can use them. So we can keep talking to people who have platforms or the media that is able to write in Dagbani to provide us with sources and that we can use as references. And secondly, you talked about contests. Yeah, so there's actually a grant application that I was just working on this morning to for us to get some support from the Wikimedia Foundation to start a writing contest in Dagbani. We've had similar contests in other languages, so that is something that we can, definitely do. And I'm excited that you were thinking that way as well. So that is really great.
Can I add something to what you said, Leslie?
Sure.
Yeah, so Jamila, you've really raised some interesting questions. Thank you for that. Um, but what I have to say is that in creating a new Wikipedia, it's not always necessary to strictly apply the principles from the big Wikipedias like English Wikipedia, French Wikipedia, and Spanish Wikipedia to an indigenous language Wikipedia. The reason being that is these Wikipedias evolved from somewhere, just like we are evolving. And it took years for them to come up with these principles and guidelines that they now have and are using. So it is a good idea to adopt some of these principles onto an indigenous language Wikipedia, but it's not obliged that you necessarily apply every principle because some principles might work and others might not work depending on the situation or depending on the language you're dealing with. So, like Sadat said, references are important when creating articles on Wikipedia, but for indigenous languages, it is not a must because we know the situation. We know that resources or information are not a lot online in these languages. The other thing I wanted to say is that this is a suggestion. Could it, since most of the indigenous languages are oral and not mostly written, and when you talk about history, it's mostly the old people that know the history or the history of the people and the language. So could it be possible that we have an option where for indigenous languages there is oral citation, because that kind of relates with the languages for most languages in Ghana. Okay, so I think that would even actually encourage a lot of people to edit, since most of people like to speak it but they don't like to write it. So if there could be that option of oral citation on indigenous languages, I think it will go a long way to encourage people to get involved.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, Zita. There have been some experiments in the past about oral citations, and I think they are still in the experimental phases. So obviously, this is this is something that we can think more about and see how we can leverage its value to support our local language Wikipedias. Ultimately, a local language Wikipedia, the rules are determined by the people the community of that language. So we can definitely do that. We just have to find a way, an organized, structured way of doing it. And, as Wikipedia that is just about to start, we have some leeway to determine how we want to use oral citations. So that is great, very important. We have just 9 more minutes, and I would like to see if we can move quickly, because I'm determined to have this under 1 hour. So, like I mentioned, the the lack of coordination was what really stalled the progress of the Dagbani language project that we were thinking about in our minds all the way from 2012, 2013. And as well, not just Dagbani, even with the languages that are available, the lack of coordination, like Akan and Ewe, lack of coordination is one of the factors that is holding it back from springing to life. So I'll use this opportunity to ask those of us here, as we have started thinking of, so currently this planning phase is supported by the Global Open Initiative, but ultimately we would want to be autonomous at some point. And that would mean putting up a team of people who would help us with coordination. So I'll just use this opportunity to ask those of us here. I think all of us here would fit in the, can be called founders, I would say, of the Dagbani language Wikipedia. And also on top of that, we would need people who would want to volunteer some of their time to take up certain like structured roles. So I have to put it right now that I think while Sadiq and I are sort of more like the forefront of it, I'm not going to be able to hold like sort of a leadership role, but more like, I can give support to people who are willing to come out and then take up some of these leadership roles. So obviously Sadiq is there, and if there are a few people here who would want to also be part of, the core team that is holding this thing up. I don't know how you want to do it, Sadiq, whether you want to do it here. We have just 6 minutes, or we can take it back to the WhatsApp group and then pick a few people to help us.
Yeah, so my internet has been unstable, so I was disconnected several times. I missed part of the conversation, but yeah, as you mentioned, all of us here, I think, are part of the core team, and we always look out for those who are willing to support and help us promote the Dagbani language Wikipedia. And hopefully, if we are able to do well, we will be able to support other languages that are also in the north. So yes, as Sadat mentioned, we are open up to anybody who is willing to support whichever way you can. Any role you want to play, please let us know, either here or wherever. So just let us know what you can do to support the community.
So I think the question that Sadiq is asking right now is, do you have any volunteers who would want to be in the leadership role? I see Salim is smiling.
Yeah, so feel free, any position you want to take, just let us know.
Or if you are not even sure of the position, but then you want to be part of the leadership team, let us know, then we can come back later, probably on the WhatsApp group, to see which role best fits you.
Oh. I would volunteer to be part of any of the core team. I wouldn't positions or leadership positions.
Yeah, the leadership team, or the core leadership team, basically.
Oh. Yeah.
All right, so we have Jamila. Khadija is also here. We have another lady called Khadija. We always want to have ladies leading stuff. So Khadija, speak up before someone mentions your name. Okay, so in my end, usually
the men too, you can. Why are you quiet? I see Ali, a couple of colleagues. Ali was my mate. He's been a long time friend, and he has a very good command of the language. Yeah. And luckily for us, we have a lot of experienced people aside from the students at the lecturers and the students at the University of Education. We have people who are journalists from Tamil, like very well-known journalists, Justice FM, NTV, all on board. We have Kumbundo Baba. He's a big guy at NTV, and he will give us all the support we need in terms of publicity, uh, advertisement, and all those things. So we are really privileged to have so many good guys in here, and we can only hope for the best. And so we are planning for a major project. We are not sure when yet, but we just want to highlight that here. But what we need to do is all of us, I think we should create our accounts. If you haven't done that yet, you just go to English Wikipedia to create your account. Make sure your account is unique, that you can keep and remember every time. And then we can take it up from there. We also have a page, which I don't know if I shared it here. Let me drop it here. You can go through that. We have social media pages that you can follow and see what you think we can do to improve the group. So I'm going to paste the page here. Oh, my laptop is. Oh, okay. So I think my mouse is misbehaving. Yeah, so I'll drop it along the way. So yeah, if you have
How
any
about,
other.
yeah, how about Mohammed Hadi? I haven't heard. Okay, he said that he will let us know. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So yeah, this is the page. So more or less like our website is pretty new, and we'll be working on it more. We have our social media pages. I will not have time to share that here, but you can see it on the page here. You can just follow it and share, invite your friends. And as a community, we are always looking out for more people. The more people we have, the better. So we'll be able to contribute more articles. And the other time we were talking about writing articles about literature, Ghanaian, Dagbani literature, and one of our colleagues shared a particular book that was really interesting. So we need more people. Invite your friends, colleagues. You know.
Good morning.
Okay, so I would like to conclude by saying, please go to the founders page and add your signature there. If you don't know how to sign, Sadiq will show you later on, and also add your name to the members list so that we can start putting a more formal team together. I think that is it from my end. If anyone wants to add anything before Sadiq closes us.
So if you have not been able to sign your name on the ETA part, just write your full name here. Some of you, I can't see your full name, so I can add it. Your full names. Or if you can do that right now, that would be very great. The ETA part.
And then in the each part, at the very last link at the down there, some people find it difficult following social media channels. So we have created a mailing list so that we can push information to that list if once you subscribe to the emailing list, to the email list. For those who don't want to follow WhatsApp, which is fine.
So I just shared the link again in case you want to sign up your name. And we can always continue the discussion on the WhatsApp group. Feel free anytime, anything you have to share. We are really looking for more voices. Yeah, so we are 2 minutes past time, and as we agreed on, we are supposed to close at 11 a.m. We are just 2 minutes. So if you have any last minute suggestion, any question, we'll be happy to pick it. So I think at this point, silence means consent. And just to highlight what we've discussed in this meeting, we made introductions, we got to know about ourselves. We had a background of the Dagbani Wikipedia, the roadmap, where we are and where we are going. The notes will be available in case you want to go back. And as I mentioned too, the meeting is recorded on YouTube. The link has been shared to the WhatsApp group, so feel free to go over it again. So Sadat, is there anything you would like
No,
to
I think
share?
that is it. That is it from my end. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for making it to this maiden edition. We look forward to having more meetings like this, and let's continue the discussions on the WhatsApp group. If you have any question, as I mentioned, just let us know. So I would like to.
We could probably take a picture on the end.
Yes. Let me try and see if I can take a good photo. So please, can we all show our screen? Like show our faces? I would like to take a screenshot. Khadija, you don't want her to see you? Ali, Muhammad, Hadi, okay, cool. So yes.
Stunning.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Last one. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you so much once again. And we have ended the meeting. Have a wonderful day. Bye.